Before we get into today's episode, I need to take a moment to highlight the baddest biatch in the industry right now, which is Enso Penny Soft Wax. This wax just launched, and my friends, it is the softest soft wax on the market. It is vegan, hypoallergenic, and made for the most sensitive skin in mind. If you're an esthetician who cares so deeply for your clients and you don't want to worry about if their skin's going to get too red, if they're going to have lifting, or if they're simply worried about breaking out, I have a solution for you, and it lives on ensowax.com. This wax is flying. Go check it out on ensowax.com. And we're so excited to introduce you to Penny.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Waxing Podcast. I am your host, Kirsten. I also have little birds in the background today, so they are also coming on as my co-hosts. And I also have a really amazing, important, I'm just so excited about this, guest on, which is Cassi from Face Pop.
I'm so excited to be here.
I have known you for basically my whole live esthetician career because even though I was an esthetician before I met you, I really didn't go into the field until we met.
Yeah, same. I didn't go into the field until after we met. So I wasn't an esthetician, but then I became an esthetician. So
yeah,
it's funny how that worked out.
The background story of this goes very quickly. Cassi and I both worked at a spa. How did you find that position?
You know, I say this to everyone. The front desk position at any job knows your business like the back of their hand, and you should always know and trust what they say because I'm the one face-to-face talking to these people all day. So I felt like I learned so much in that position of things that I wanted to do and things that I did not want to do. So I feel like I gained a lot of knowledge in that. And I especially gained a lot of knowledge from you and Carrie, the other esthetician there.
Yeah. Do you remember how you found the job? Like, were you looking online?
Yes, I just moved to Tampa. And I think I was looking online, and then I had an interview, and it took so long. It was like a long process. Like I think it was like a good month or two, probably 2 months before I even got it after my interview, which was weird. But
yeah, that is.
Yeah.
But we had a time there, didn't we?
We did. We definitely did.
That job was where I learned very big principles of who I was going to be in the future.
Yeah.
As an esthetician, and what I was going to do and what I was going to do differently. And it really also taught me the facade of the industry.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. It was an interesting job.
Now, I was an esthetician there, learning, sometimes making huge mistakes, and you were a receptionist. And I remember you coming in and you had all of these laser treatments done, and you were just so actively proactive about skincare. It was funny because although you were a front desk receptionist at the time, I felt like you were also so interested in the field to where then you made your decision to go to esthetician school.
Yeah, I really was. I remember all through high school, any Christmas or birthday money I would get, I would buy packages at my dermatologist office, and I got a hydrofacial one. I remember a basic facial one. I would just go to all these treatments, and I was so intrigued by what she was doing and telling her to walk me through each time. What are you putting on now? And one thing I really loved at the end is when she would talk about products. I'm like, well, why should I use this product? And I just was so intrigued by it all that I just knew I knew from high school that's what I wanted to go into. But I think me going later in my 20s made me take it more seriously than I would have being younger.
I say that often, even just about college. I'm because I did take some college classes, and I got halfway through before I went into esthetician school and a trade school, if you will. And I'm when I was 18, I was not in the same place as I am now. And I feel like now, if I had ever had a reason to go back to college, I would probably be really good at it because I would actually take it serious. And so, yeah, it's like going to esthetician school in your like later years typically can be, can set you forward in the esthetician world because you actually like want to be there and you're a little bit more driven. You've learned, you're like a little bit more humble to like the experience of having jobs and losing them and finding places you don't like. And then, you know, there you are as an esthetician. So
yeah. And just like more mature. Like I think like dealing with people with acne and stuff, like I definitely would have been fine when I was younger, but I think now being older, I have such like a soft spot for that like you approach things so differently than you would have when you were younger, when I just wanted to like live life and be out with my girlfriends every night and every weekend, you know? So it's a totally different vibe.
yeah, I want to talk a little bit about after you graduated from esthetician school, because I felt like you did have a foot into the industry by being a part of a spa to begin with. Like, I just think that that gives you kind of like an overhead of like where you want to be and what you want to do. And so when you left esthetician school, and this is like me asking because I actually forget.
Yeah.
What was like the first thing that you did?
Yeah, when I was going through esthetician school, I actually got really sick at the same time. I was getting like these skin rashes and hot flashes and just really random symptoms. And so while I was going through school, I was going to like, I think I went to probably 8 different doctors, and they were just trying to prescribe me pills without even like trying to figure anything out. And this one doctor I went to just, I think, changed my outlook on everything. And I don't know if Face Pop would be the way it is now if I hadn't have met him, because he sat with me for like 45 minutes to an hour. Like, we sat down and talked about everything going on. And instead of saying like, hey, this is what's happening, you should take this, he was like, okay, we're going to do all these tests and figure out what's going on. And it just like, I felt such a relief that someone was actually sitting here and giving me a time of day, that like it just snowballed into what I wanted Face Pop to be. So after I graduated, well, during school, I was planning my business and going through this with this doctor. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to like actually help people. Even if I didn't have all the answers, I would help them figure out the answer. And so when I graduated in 2018, in January 2018, by March 1st, I had opened up my little solo room and with no clients.
Yeah. But like you had such a vision. To this day, your business name is my favorite. Yeah. I don't think I've ever honed in on like a better. I just love it so much. It's so cute, but also it's so you.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's so perfect for you.
Yeah, it's spunky, and I love that, which is me. But yeah, I came up with the name in school kind of. So like when I was going through school, I was creating like a business plan and all this stuff, and I kept writing a bunch of business names down. And I wish I could remember the other business name I was looking at too. And I didn't write Face Pop down yet. I haven't even thought of it. I may have wrote something like similar. And I had a dream about it. And I had a dream that my business name was Face Pop, and like, you know, just all the stuff. But I woke up, I'm like, that's it. That is my name. I like wrote it down, started my business plan. And then once I graduated, started taking all these like, dermaplaning courses and other courses to try to learn more, and kind of went running with it.
Do you have any just like advice for somebody who gets out of school and just wants to go head forward into owning their own solo suite?
Yeah, you know, I'm very back and forth with it. I think you definitely can do it if you put 150% of your energy into it. But I definitely think working at a spa was very, very beneficial to me. And if I had found like a spa that like I could call family, they align with my beliefs and things like that, like maybe things would be different. I just couldn't find anything like that. But, you know, I'm all about learning and education. I do think working for someone, even if it's a front desk while you're going through school, will really kind of put you forward in going out solo.
I love that. I
Yeah.
used to, it's funny, this podcast has been alive since 2020. And in the beginning, I often would say, no, you have to work for somebody. Like, you're crazy if you don't. And it's funny because now I'm in 2024 with like a completely different perspective. And I don't know if that's because I've met so many people that have done it. And it's kind of made me be like, wow, it is possible because you are here and you are successful. So that means that if you've done it, then it is possible. And so I like asking that question just because you still get different answers each time. But it's like, if you do put 150% into something and like really love what you do, I just don't think failure is going to be an option.
Yeah. And I think too, like something you learn with working for someone is like the ebbs and flows in this business. And I think if you just go out of school going into it, like you can be really let down by things and have like unrealistic expectations. And I think working for someone, you kind of like foresee them. So then you're kind of like preparing for that or understand it. Whereas like if you're going solo, like I learned a lot of that through the place that we worked out, but also like I just went solo being an esthetician. So I learned a lot of those things by myself, which was lonely and scary, but also like exciting. So like if you come into it like with a learning curve and just like going with the flow, then I think you'll be great.
And you've had so many great moments. Like, I've watched you grow tremendously. That's what I'm saying. There's so much to talk about with you because you kind of like divvied into a lot of different things and avenues. So I'm going to pivot really quick
Gemini.
because you are a Gemini. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for you for sure. Okay, so I'm going to pivot because there was a moment, and I think we're going to go into waxing. And I believe that you were just trying to simply learn more about the trade.
Yeah.
I think you're really big on educating yourself.
Oh, I
and
am.
having the knowledge.
Yeah.
And so when you reached out to me and you were like, yeah, how did this story go? I faintly remember it. I think you might remember it a little bit more, but
yeah. So
PTSD usually does that to somebody.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I like still sweat like thinking about this. I had just moved back home from Tampa. So it's like a 45-minute commute. And I was just opening my business. So like I was just starting out and I was like, okay, I want to learn waxing and stuff. So then I reached out to you to learn waxing. And hats off to you guys because waxing is so intimidating and it's a skill set that like you truly have to learn. And yeah, I attempted to do that for a little while. I don't remember how long I did it for. Not long. Maybe.
You didn't. Okay. So
a few weeks.
Cassi reached out to me and said, I would love to like, it was like a 1 or 2 day a week job. You were like, I would love to just earn some extra income while you have your business. You were trying to like get clients, but you needed some like employee cash basically. Right. Is that like correct?
Yeah.
And so I, at the time, was working at Flirt. And so I was like, yeah, like, let me just let Flirt know. So we were looking for somebody. It just had worked out in terms of timing. And then you trained, and I don't think you were there for that long, but, it really does show you, like, you don't know until you try.
Yeah.
And you also had like a whole thing happen to you, which I have been doing this for almost 7 years. I don't know. I always lose count. I've never had that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so scary. So we were in the midst of training and I'm watching and they were doing the Brazilian wax. And I honestly don't even know how or what happened, but it like somehow ripped. I don't know, like the labia area? Like, I don't know, like the very fine skin there. And she was bleeding all over. She was fine. Like, she wasn't like screaming in pain or anything, but it was just, it was so I remember just standing there. I was like, I cannot finish this wax. I cannot wax anyone else after this. Like, I was so scared after that.
Well, and didn't she tell you like that's also never happened to her before?
She was even shocked and like she handled it beautifully. The girl was perfectly fine. Like nothing like crazy even happened. It was just a very thin skin and something must have just ripped and there's a lot of blood and I don't know. It sent me the opposite way.
Cassi, us reliving that together though, it's so funny because you will like message me and like, you're just constantly traumatized. by that one thing.
Oh yeah, I know. And like, it's still stuck with me because like you said, like I love learning new things, and especially like, you know, I had hired a waxer and like I want to help people in any way I can. I'm not a waxer. So I was like, okay, let me try waxing again. And you should see me every time I go to wax. I am profusely sweating. I'm like, I don't think I can do this. Like, this is so scary. So it's just, yeah, it really stuck with me. And I know I've messaged you about it a few times. I need to probably get over it because I would still love to like, I just find it so fascinating, brow waxing and all of that, that I would love to eventually feel more confident in that. But even just any sort of waxing, just, I could peel someone's face all day long. But when it comes to waxing, it just scares me.
And you even had recently done a lamination class, and
Yeah.
I know you had such a good experience with Jackie.
Yes. And we
She's
used your
awesome.
wax, which I'm obsessed with.
It's
We
so
used your wax during the
beautiful.
training. It really was. It was so easy to work with and so like smooth, like with the ripping and stuff. I felt so comfortable with it. So I'm definitely now being back in the room here. I definitely want to try it a little bit more, but I'm gonna
I could
tiptoe
resurrect
into
you.
that.
I could
Yeah.
resurrect you from the waxing trauma.
We'll see. We will
Okay,
see. But
so we went through some waxing training. It didn't go as planned for you. However, I think that in hindsight, that's amazing because you have had just such a snowball of, you know, going from a suite by yourself to, it seemed like it happened so fast as I was watching it, but I know for a fact, I know you went through a lot, but I'm like, you know, let's talk a little bit about like where you saw that I would only want to call it a dip, where you saw that hill, right? Like where you were at in your business where you're like, wow, I'm like really getting a lot of traction.
yeah. I feel like, so I would say around like the 6 month mark of going solo is when I was like, okay, let me start looking at locations. Cause I think you're right. Like leaving the wax job catapulted me into like focusing 110% on my business. And I just like really hustled getting clients in the door. And after 6 months, I was like booked and busy. And one of my clients, she had just graduated from aesthetic school, and she was just, each time she came in, she was asking me if I was hiring. And I know I've thought about that, but also like, I don't know, I just felt like I was still a baby and still growing. And she was like, I would love to grow with you. And we just really clicked. And that's my girl Kim, which if anyone ever followed us back then, we had so much fun together. And then I started looking at a space, and the space that we have now opened up. And I feel like everything just kind of was like weirdly working out. And yeah, so I think we moved in there what was it? August of 2019. So after, I guess, a little over a year of being in my space.
Did you do a complete build out? Was it
No,
already
you know what?
set up?
No, it was already set up. And I think that's what really helped me get to that next level, because I think if I had to do a build out then, it would be a little bit more intimidating to me. I'm always curious of what would happen if I would have had to go that route. But no, I only had to do like some things, like some flooring and some updates in some of the rooms, but nothing to that like major scale. I was really lucky with that space. And so, yeah, we were in there for, gosh, 6, 7 months, and then COVID hit. So it was a ride, I'll tell you that.
Now, looking back, I think I've brought on a lot of people who kind of opened their business post COVID and had that like explosion of clientele. But what I noticed is you actually had it before COVID even hit in the first place, quite a while before COVID. And so looking back and seeing those 6 months of you going back from waxing in and not working to like giving it 110%, do you remember like anything particular that you did that you felt like helped you get clients in the door?
I think the biggest thing for me then was Instagram. I think Instagram was a different ball game back in 2018. You could definitely reach more people. I feel like it was almost like TikTok is now. Like you reached a little bit more people in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I would do lives almost like every other day, I feel like. And I was so bad at it. Like sometimes I would just like quickly end it because I was so nervous and I said something stupid or like, and I would quickly delete it and like get back on it or try again the other day. I just kept showing up on social media and getting my face out there. And I think that was probably the number one thing. And then also word of mouth. Like the more people who came in, they referred someone who referred someone. So I would say social media was my number one.
I also think too, just like you said, you went to that doctor after visiting so many, and that doctor kind of really gave you an experience like you hadn't experienced before. And I can almost guarantee if I were sitting here being like, hey, I have XYZ issues, you would like scream to me to go see that same doctor. And I feel like you taking that into your business might have even given you like a little bit of that difference in what you do versus other people, to where you now have these clients that not only are they just simply saying, hey, this is where I go, but they're being like, oh my gosh, you have to go experience this. Like I always think finding places that are like that little extra special touch really help to move forward businesses naturally, because you are different. You're not trying to be the same. You're not trying to like do what everyone else in your city is doing to like, you know, disguise yourself within. But I don't know, everything about your business to me screams different, and in a good way. Like I mean, you already know I would drive, and you're an hour from Tampa. Because, you know, I always told you, I was like, I will drive, baby. I will drive. To this day, I still want to drive. And now you're not there anymore, which we'll get into in a minute. But you really did try to, you know, make such a dreamy business out of holistic views, if you will, and really trying to like take the time to understand your clients. And so when it came to like aligning products with your business and things like that, tell me like a little bit about how, because I mean, in the skincare industry, there are millions of products to choose from. It's like so overwhelming. Tell me about like your approach on skin health.
I appreciate all that. Thank you. I think that doctor definitely did set it apart with like the consultation process, because back then I feel like education's a lot bigger now in the aesthetic world. But then I feel like it was just starting. So we were kind of like the only ones who really sat there for 30, 40 minutes of people asking the questions about like, how's your digestion? Are you pooping every day? Like, how's your lifestyle? Like, you know, asking these questions where they're like, whoa, like no one's ever asked me this before. So I love that now education in this role is so big. And that kind of brought me to the product line we carry. I first started out with Glow Therapeutics, which we used up in Tampa. And I did really like them. But it just wasn't giving the results and the education that I really wanted. So I had went to, I never know how to say it. Is it like IESC?
Oh my gosh, I've been to so many IECSC. I never used to do it, and now I can do it like IECSC.
I'm always like ICS something. I went to one of those in West Palm, and I met my rep with DMK, and I was just chatting with her. I was telling her about my philosophies with skin, and she was like, oh my God, you have to try DMK. And I'm like, I don't know. It looks weird. Like that compressive mask. Like, I don't know. And she gave me a kit, and it's like a little home kit that has like travel products and then the enzyme in it, and then also an exfoliation. So I went home and I did it on my mom, and she started using the products, and I was just really blown away, just even from one treatment, the results on her skin and how healthy and hydrated it was looking without like having to strip or damage her skin. So I just quickly fell in love with that. And then my rep came, and she just worked hands-on with me and did education. They have a huge portal of online education. So to me, it was just like a no-brainer, because I love learning and I love learning new things, that I was like, I'm diving into this.
And you did dive into it. You have since been
Yeah.
to DMK award shows where you have won, and tell me exactly the titles that you've received from DMK.
I forget. This is
It's
so
okay.
bad.
I mean, either way, though, it really does show like the skincare brand itself, like having these awards and making you feel. I mean, that's like a community-based brand, which
It is.
we have a hard time sometimes in our industry finding. And I think it, like you said, it's becoming more prevalent to like be that brand if you're going to be here playing with the big companies. But it's really cool because I feel like they've been doing that for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
For sure.
It's a really fun brand to get behind.
Now you were able to grow Face Pop into a community of how many employees again?
We are a team of 5. One of them is just leaving for Brazil for a year, which I'm so sad about. I believe it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5.
5, which is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
You've accomplished so much in such a short amount of time. And I mean, do you think there's anything to like note to that? Like, do you contribute that to like anything? Because I mean, most people get to 1 and maybe 2, and you were able to grow to 5.
Yeah.
And you've also, now we'll get into after we're done with this conversation, like are doing something else that's huge.
I would say it's really hard hiring people. I believe the saying, hire slow, fire fast, and finding people that align with you, your vision and goals. That's probably the really hardest thing to find because, you know, and it's nothing against these people that you're hiring. It's just they maybe aren't aligned with your values, or like I've had employees before that I can just see their passion is not skincare, is makeup, or it's waxing. I had one girl, I could just tell she like thrived with the whole waxing, and we're not a waxing clinic. So I was just very encouraging her, like, hey, maybe you should actually go and try waxing and see if this is something that you like. And she went out and she loved it, and she came back to me. She's like, thank you for encouraging and pushing me. And it's really hard to find, I guess, good employees.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
been
But
like the biggest challenge with it.
do you think when you go into hiring, do you go off of like skill set? Do you go off of gut feeling? Do you go off of personality?
I go off of personality and gut feeling. I can train anyone the skill set. It's the personality and the energy that they bring in that means so much more to me. Like, can they carry a conversation? Are they well mannered? How do they react with certain things? Like, that's what I really look at the most. And are they a team player? Because I feel like this aesthetics industry is really growing into being a community and a team base, but a lot of people are very like, even if they are part of a team, they're very solo. Like, it's my clients, this is me, like, and we're very team based. Like, we take care of each other's clients when needed. We work as a team. When you have like, a client that we just can't push through, we all work together for it. So if someone's not a team player, then that really kind of shows, and they're just not really a good fit for Face Pop.
I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. Like I said, I could talk to you all day about so many things that you've done. And I'm like, I even want to like touch a little bit about like product, because you even developed product for a little bit. And there's so much. But I want to really talk about where you are now in your life, because this was a really fun thing for me to catch up with you about, because one day I blinked and you're in the Carolinas, and I'm like, oh, Cassie's on vacation, fun. Yeah. And then it's like been a month, and I'm like, oh, Cassie's on a long vacation, really cool. Like, I see you're going to school, and I'm like, Cassie's in Carolinas, like, let's go. So, I know, and I reached out to you, and I'm like, hold on a minute, because then I'm like, Face Pop is still happening. You're there. Like, of course, my curiosity got the best of me, and I'm like, I need to know what your update is on life. And so you made a huge move across. It's not across the country, but it's far.
Yeah.
Very far.
Yeah.
States away from your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's dive in. I'm selfishly wanting to hear about this, but I think with people that are listening, most people feel like when they have a business, they are cemented into that place and area that they reside in.
I knew I wanted to move near the mountains for, gosh, the past 10 years. And I just kind of never took the steps in doing that because I was really close to my family. I was opening a business, and I think COVID really opened my eyes. I had my first taste of anxiety and panic attacks during COVID, which a lot of people kind of went through. And I really had to focus on like my mental health after that and what brought me joy and happiness. And being up the mountains did. And an opportunity came up with my husband about working remote up here. And then I have this incredible manager at FacePop that I truly would not be able to do this without her. Like, she's just, I love her so much. And so things were just like all coming into place with timing. And then Florida, as you know, has the lowest hours for aesthetic school. So I had to make up hours to get my license, really any state I would go to. So I had to go back to school. I think I had to make up like a little, like 150 hours or something, which is really fun to go back to school. I kind of started teaching the class a little bit, so it was fun.
I don't doubt that for a second.
And yeah, so went back to school up here, and now in my room, which is not finished, that's why these shelves are empty, going to be opening and hopefully the next few weeks up here.
Now, having a second location is so exciting, so thrilling, I'm sure so exhausting.
Yeah.
Is there anything like you're implementing that you were like sure and true worked at this first location? Or like, how are you going about being in a completely new state with completely different clientele? Like, I'm just so intrigued by this because it's like you've done it once. Is this like a rinse and repeat, or are you finding yourself like, wow, I need to switch things up? And is it like exciting to kind of know that you do have this like road ahead?
Yeah, no, it's definitely very overwhelming. And it's, I don't want to say easier the second time around. It's more just like I know the avenues I need to take to get there. But I do think COVID has changed marketing in general. So I think my tried and true that I did back then, I don't think they're going to work as well as they did now. So it's kind of learning to implement new things now. I kind of feel like, I don't know if this is the proper term, grassroots marketing, when like you're kind of going out there and meeting people face to face. I feel like that's starting to come back a bit. And I've really connected with like the community here so far, and like connected with other business owners. I even got like a part-time job as a barista up here, one day a week when I was going through school, because I didn't know anyone up here. I was going to school, and then I came back to my apartment and was by myself. My husband couldn't come up yet because of work project, but so I got a job, and it's just the connections that I've made there and networking was incredible. And I loved it so much. I really would be a barista my whole life. I loved it.
Baristas are kind of like skincare enthusiasts, if you will. It's like a bunch of ingredients to make a different outcome.
It's so fun. I love learning new things, but it was a lot of fun. And I think that really helped me connect with the community and learn more about the community, because when you move somewhere, it's intimidating. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of to themselves now. I don't know. Things have just changed with marketing. So yeah, I'm really getting out there, connecting, showing up on social media when I have time to get on social media. But yeah, I'm going to start to implement new things and probably learn new things as well.
Now, having your business open in a new state, is there any like trademarking and things like that that you had to make sure that you did in order for you to be able to reuse the name? Like, how does, and I'm like curiously asking because like it's like you're moving a completely different state. There has to be different things that have to happen, right?
Yes and no. So I thought it would be a little bit more challenging, but once like you have your business name and your EIN number, you basically just have to get, and I'm probably going to butcher, it's like a foreign certificate. And it's pretty much to show South Carolina that I am working under my FacePop entity. And that was really confusing to me because I thought I had to get like a whole new EIN, a whole new business stuff, but it was actually relatively easier doing it that way. But then you have to learn the new state laws with business, with employees, with aesthetics, because that's a lot stricter up here than it was in Florida. So that's a huge thing I have to learn.
Are you able to carry like the same lines? Like, is everything working out and aligning in that way?
I can carry the same lines, but I can't do microneedling, which is very upsetting because that is like my baby.
I know. You've traveled to Australia for microneedling.
Yeah. So I can't do microneedling here unless I get, I think you have to get a medical overseer, but they have like, what's weird is like in some states, you just have to have a medical overseer, where here they have to literally be in the building the whole entire time. So maybe in the future, or hopefully like some rules change. But I'm excited. I have some courses I'm taking and I'm excited to add some new things to the Greenville location. So I think it'll work out. It'll be fun.
Now, do you see yourself doing 2 Instagrams? Do you see yourself combining the one? Because I think there's benefits to kind of both. Like, I think people want to follow you and your journey. And if that's through 1 or 2, I don't think there's a wrong answer to that.
You know, social media, I don't know why. Before 2018, Cassie would jump on a live and she would not care and she'd be on social media. And I don't know why social media now is more intimidating to me. I think it's just I get nervous of like, I don't know, I guess showing my personality instead of the business. And with the social media up here, I feel like I'm going to keep it all as one and make it kind of fun where like, this is the Greenville location, this is what's going on here, and then we have everyone down in Florida and what's going on down there. But
I love it.
Yeah,
I think that's so fun.
You're so good at social media. I need to take some tips from you.
I think I struggle a lot too. I mean, I think imposter syndrome is just like the wildest thing. I just have learned, like, I don't know. I hired a virtual assistant recently, and she just is getting out of esthetician schools, and she's like really nervous about being online, and that's just like not where she's comfortable at. And I kind of shared with her like an analogy that I always think about it with. And I'm like, you know, when you like work out and how uncomfortable it is, like you walk in the gym and you're just like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't know like this doesn't feel right. This feels very like not me. And then you're super sore. And then you're like thinking of all the reasons why that sucked. And then you go back the second day and the third day and the fourth day, and you're kind of like, all right, this like still sucks so bad. But then you go 7 days in a row, you commit to that. And then once you hit that 7 days, you're like, wow, okay, like and you get that like gratification, not only from working out, but from like you committing to something and following through with the commitment. Like that's a proud moment. And so I was telling her, I'm like, I think that's really how I feel about social media. Like, why would you feel comfortable going on there the first day? Like, that's so uncomfortable. You're going outside of your normal practice of who you think you are as a person, and you're challenging it by doing something. I said, but what I would challenge anybody to do for social media is challenge yourself like a 5-day thing and say, for the next 5 days, I'm going to post something. And hold yourself accountable to doing it for 5 days, so that not only at the end of the 5 days are you patting yourself on the back, but also you're creating a habit. I think it goes really hand in hand. I always say that. I'm like, working out is like the best example, because we all know how it feels to like go to the gym and it be uncomfortable and everyone feels like, you know, you feel like they're looking at you, and it's like you kind of get that same feeling on social media. It's weird.
I love that analogy. That's actually really true. I think that's what I struggle with too, because like I think of like FacePop as a business. And then like when I start showing up there, I'm like, well, I'm not FacePop. So like, why do they want to see me or like hear from me? But it's like, you know, I actually am FacePop. It is the brand. I need to talk about it. And I think that's what's really hard for me to understand. and get out of my own way with it. But maybe I'm going to do that. I'm going
And
to
I
start a little
think there's,
habit.
yeah, and I think there's boundaries. I think that's the thing. I have a friend that's learning that as well. She um has a business page and she has multiple employees, and she's like, sometimes I don't want to show up on there and be like too personal because it's my business, it's not me, to where I have like a more, like mine's not a business page. Mine's like, I'm just on there doing things all the time that are kind of like left field. But she forgets the part where people have been following her for years and like love watching her grow in different ways. And that doesn't mean going on there and like doing things. Like, I do think there's boundaries, right? But I do think that sometimes people hold themselves back a lot in what they think people want to see versus, what they actually do.
Is it too personal? Is it not too personal? Is it, it's really hard. It's weird.
Yeah, no, it is weird. And I think it's just kind of figuring out your audience. I think that's another thing. It's like we kind of all know like our audience in some way. Like you see posts that are doing really well in engagement. Okay, so that's typically what your audience is wanting to see. And then you see stories that just get like a bunch of views one day and you're like, wow, I was talking about gut health. This got like more. So maybe starting like a series. And it's all like test. There's this saying I love. I tell my virtual assistant it all the time. She's probably like, shut up. But I always say like, it's just a guess unless you test. So like, you
love that.
Yeah. I'm like, you don't know what's going to work unless you test it. Like, it's just a guess. So like, who knows what people want to see from you. Okay. So I do want to ask you, like, what's the future of Face Pop in your new location? Is it going to just be you? Are you planning on hiring out just like you did for Florida?
I don't know. I'm kind of right now going with the flow. I was planning on having employees and doing that, but it's been a journey to even find a place. So we have this pop-up location now, which may be my long-term location or it might not be, who knows. But I think right now I think I'm just going to go solo and figure out what's going to happen the next 6 months to a year, and we'll see. Knowing me, I probably will start hiring and doing all that stuff.
You'll get the itch. You're a people person, I think, too. Like, I don't know. I feel like you thrive being like around people. I mean, that's always like what I thought about you. And so I think you'll find like in 6 months, you'll be like, okay, I'm ready to like hang out with people, and those people can be my employees.
Yeah, no, I thrive with working with people. I love learning from people. I learn more when I like talk like this with people. So when I like with my team in Florida, I'm like, hey, this is what her skin looks like. What do you guys see? What do we think? And like, I love learning and like discussing that with people because you can always learn from someone. So I definitely like being around people.
Yeah. Do you have any continuing education to look forward to? You've done so much. We didn't even get into that in this episode, and we didn't get into like your product development, but you have traveled everywhere for training. And I think, do you like agree? I mean, I think this on my perspective, but do you agree that continuing education is like the most valuable thing you can do for yourself as a human being? I'm not even going to say business owner.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I get so burnt out if I don't do any education, and it could be an education I've already done. Like, I just need to learn something and do something, and it motivates me. It stimulates something inside of me to get like creative. And I believe that people should be doing continuing education like at least once a year.
Yeah, I agree. And it seems expensive, but I really do feel like afterwards, like you do get tenfold. It's like, it's just when you get it once, it's like it's like an addiction. Like when you get training and then you like benefit from it, you're like, oh my God, I like can't get out of continuing education. Like I love it so much.
Yeah. And like, it is expensive. It is an investment, but it's like an investment for you that like you can give even a better treatment for your clients. You'll feel more confident with yourself as well and what your craft is, that like it's worth that investment to do.
Yeah.
And there's also like free stuff too. There's YouTube. There's the I always forget the names of the ones that come into like Vegas and Orlando. Like if you're close to those areas, like they have free classes in there, don't they? I think they used to. Yeah. They have ones you pay for, but also ones you can go into. And it may not be your cup of tea, and it could be about something totally different than skincare, but it still can ignite something in you. It could teach you something about dealing with people or getting a better client experience, like really anything. Like even the barista job I got, I learned so much that I want to bring into my business with like dealing with people and customer service that you can always learn.
Yeah. I love it. I love it so much. I am so happy that you got to come onto the podcast.
Me
And
too.
for everyone listening, let them know where to find you on social media. Well, and
You
your
can
website,
find
of
me.
course.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram at FacePop Skin Clinic. And then our website is facepopskin.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I wish you all the luck. I know that your
Thank
suite
you.
is going to be so, so, so cute. Yeah, if you're listening to this and saying, why is Kirsten fawning over your business? Go check out Face Pop Skin Clinic and you will seriously see it within seconds.
Oh, thank you. I love that.